Welcome into a whole new season of Inside the Huddle right here on High School Cube News. Another year with Brian Chimino, Mike Clark of the Sun-Times, and Beth Long of FoxSports and Scout.com. Kickoff just a few short days away. So to get you ready, I'm going to throw out some topics and let the experts let you guys know what's going on this season. Let's start with Class 8A. Last year, Naperville Central coming out of nowhere to win the state championship. They'll be in the mix of things with a bunch of other teams.
Yeah, I think the teams that a lot of people are looking at this year, probably Bolingbrook and Loyola. Bolingbrook's got a defense that looks to be the best in the state right now. They've got, I think, what, 5 or 6 D1 guys on that side of the ball, and they've got probably enough offense to do the job. Loyola, you know, there's a lot of guys on this team that you probably don't know who they are now, and they don't get a lot of D1 big-time attention, but they always play very well together, and they get a lot of guys back on the defensive side. So 7A, you know, Glenbard West is a team that's always in the mix. You got to look at them a little bit again this year. They did something that really surprised people back in June when they won the 7-on-7 at Wheaton South. I mean, Glenbard West is not a passing program, never has been. But for them to win that against some really good passing programs, that tells you something. And you know they're always going to be able to run the ball. 6A, Batavia is the defending champ. They lost a lot. They're going to be strong still. They've got you know, some key pieces back, not quite as many as some of the other defending champs. But I mean, the teams that you're looking at there, probably Cary Grove, 16 starters back, and then Richards, which was second to Batavia last year and has a bunch of D1 kids there. Beth?
Actually, the interesting thing about 2 of the teams I've been out to see recently that you mentioned, Mike, Bolingbrook, they do have 5 Division I kids on defense. All 5 of them are going to be playing offense this year. So typical, you take your best players on the field and make sure they're getting as much time as you can. Like McAdoo Treadway, who's committed to Notre Dame, chose them in the offseason. He's 6'4", like 280 pounds, is going to play tight end for the Raiders. So just the thought of that is just amazing to me. I'd love to see some defensive back take him down. The only underclassman that has Division I offers, his name is Tuff Borland. He's a linebacker. He's expected to lead the defense, and they've also got the Huff twins, Jacob and Julian Huff, who are both headed to Minnesota, and then as well as a corner in Armani McNulty, who's headed to Ball State. So there are just tons. That's the most stacked Division I prospect team that we have probably in the whole Chicagoland area. And then Richards, interestingly enough, their offense just should be totally explosive with Hassan Muhammad Rogers, couple wide receivers, Romello Boykin and Spencer Tiers, that are going to or already have Division I offers. And the question there is their defense, as we left off last year too, saying the exact same thing.
And later in the week, you can check out Beth's first MVP segment of the season. Speaking of Hassan Muhammad Rogers from Richards, check it out right here on High School Cube News. Thanks to this wonderful invention called the internet, fans can go on message boards and argue which conference is better than my conference, your conference better than our conference. I don't think so. Last year, maybe DuPage Valley, Catholic League Blue. Is it going to be the same thing this year?
Catholic Blue for sure. There's 4 teams in the Super 25, and you could probably make a case for the 5th with Brother Rice, but Loyola for sure, Mount Carmel for sure, the 2-time defending state champion. You've got St. Rita. They've got some big linemen coming back. They're going to be a little bit more typical St. Rita type offense, big offensive linemen, a couple of pretty good backs. Then you got Providence, which has 2 big-time receivers, Miles Boykin and Nate Vivoda. Probably the best 1-2 receiving core in the state, and they've got a quarterback back in Justin Hunniford. So there's the Catholic Blue. A couple of other conferences real quick. North Suburban Lake, Stevenson, Lake Zurich, always strong, obviously. Lake Forest is certainly in the mix there too. Lake Zurich lost a lot of people, but don't overlook them. They have a way of fitting kids into their system pretty well. And the 3rd conference is probably the Southwest Suburban Blue. You've got Bolingbrook, who we already mentioned. You've got Homewood Flossmoor, really good sophomore class last year. Those kids are juniors this year. They are expecting big things. They lost to Naperville Central early in the playoffs last year. That's a lot of motivation for them. And you got Lincoln Way East, which, again, kind of like Lake Zurich in the fact that they graduate a lot of people, a lot of names you may not recognize, but they always seem to get it done.
So as kickoff is just a couple of days away, why don't we take a look at some of the big Week 1 matchups? And Mike, it's got to start with Montini at Maine South.
You know, Maine South's got a quarterback returning, Brian Collis, who's pretty good. Montini's always got the great passing game. So, I mean, if you like a couple of passing teams, that's probably a good place to go.
And also on Sunday, you got a triple header, not at Soldier Field this year. They're going to Toyota Park.
Mount Carmel's playing St. Joseph out of Philadelphia. We don't know an awful lot about them, but some of the people I've talked to at Mount Carmel have said that put them in the Loyola or St. Rita class, St. Joseph's that is. So Mount Carmel, an interesting story, graduated a ton of kids from last year's championship team. You know, it'd be interesting to see how those kids do with the new kids coming in. Second game is kind of an interesting game, Peyton against St. Ignatius. Peyton's one of the rising programs in the public league. St. Ignatius is trying to kind of get some traction in the Catholic League. And the third game is a great South Side rivalry, St. Rita against Simeon. St. Rita, again, we talked about them a little bit before. Simeon is the gold standard in the public league. They haven't lost in, I want to say, 5 years to anybody in the public league, and they haven't lost a conference game going back about 7 years. Does Simeon have any prospects this year?
They do, actually. Two young offensive linemen, Kevin Agee and Terrell Macklin-Dupree, both measuring up 6'4", 6'5", really look like solid prospects. So we'll see if their recruitment continues to go a little bit faster as they get on a bigger scale, especially opening up at Toyota Park.
And also on Friday, I don't want to skip over it, you have Providence at Joliet Catholic.
Yeah, that's a great Southwest suburban rivalry. It's going to be at Joliet Memorial Stadium. They'll probably pack the place. We talked about Providence a little bit before. Joliet Catholic going to be kind of a different kind of a team this year. I mean, they've been known really for producing some amazing running backs. Nick Borgra is the current one. He actually ran for 1,000 yards last year, which a lot of people didn't realize because they had Michael Ivlo, who ran for 2,300 yards last year. So they're going to have another good running game, but probably a little bit better defensively than they have been. That's one of the things that they're kind of excited about at Joliet Catholic.
And that'll do it for this premiere edition of Inside the Huddle here on High School Cube News. Mike, the past week and a half has been counting down the Super 25 day by day. Check High School Cube News all the way until Friday, leading up to kickoff to see who is the prestigious #1 team in the preseason Super 25. For Beth Long and Mike Clark, I'm Brian Chimino. We'll see you guys next week.